All right, good afternoon, everybody. It is Tuesday, May 27th. I am doing some, let me backtrack a little bit here. So I had a request from some users that wanted to use the microscope at 60 kilovolts, and the system has not been run at 60 kilovolts in a long time. So I um, I set it to 60 kilovolts early yesterday. It's stabilized, overnight, and now I'm, realigning everything at 60 kilovolts. The other thing so I'm actually going to do some videos about the alignments here in a little bit too. But the other thing too is I'm going to take new gain references for the SATA camera as well. So I'm going to show you how to do that. The process is identical regardless of which voltage you're at. Of course, the gain references will be sensitive very much to the voltage that you're at. Okay, so you want to use your typical TEM conditions here. So what we normally use is I have the 50 micron aperture in right now for C2, which is what's used for most of the alignments. And we could just stick with that for now. But actually, let's put this to the 70, because again, that's what we normally use here. Because we want to get, more than a nanoamp here. Yeah, so something like this is a little bit better in terms of the current for doing the gain reference. Okay, so I'm going to check this C2 centering here. Okay, so that's a little bit off. Now, the other thing too is I am over vacuum. You need to be absolutely over vacuum when you do this. You don't want to be over anything, any support film, anything at all. Okay, so just, I can show you this really quickly here. I'm not going to go into LM mode, but I'll show you this here. Yeah, so you can see, right, there's the hole. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to mag way in here. So our SATA camera field of view is about this big. We want generally at least a nanoamp of current, and we want to be in this parallel regime. So yeah, you want to make sure your TEM you're aligned well in TEM MicroProbe mode, of course, before you do this. Okay, but this should work fine. And now, right, we're over vacuum, everything's good. So we can go ahead and collect the reference image. So you want to find your CCD/TV camera control panel, click the flap out arrow, find bias/gain, and click reference image manager. And what we need to do actually, now I wonder, because I was using this earlier. Oh, this is going to be thrown off here because okay, let me close this and reopen this. We have to give control to TIA for this. So if Velox has control, this is going to confuse things, and we don't want to do that. So what I'm going to do here is actually just take out the SATA camera in Velox. Okay, and then I'm going to click search here inside of the okay, and then I'm going to remove the screen and then measure the dose. Okay, so you want to this is going to be measured for an exposure time of 1 second, and it's going to average 10. Okay, so I'm going to take the screen out of the way and then measure the dose. Okay, It's barking at me. What's going on here? Okay, so I think we have to stop the search and then measure the dose. Let's try that. Whoops. Okay. Come on. I know it's done this before. Hold on. Oh, come on. Can we not be a pain, please? Okay. All right. So my dose is a little high here. Let me try this again. Okay. So that did it fine that time. Okay. So yes, you want to insert the camera, but you don't want to have search going. Okay. All right. So I've got too much here. So I'm going to put the screen in, and I'm going to spread my beam out more here. So now my current is going up here because I have the condenser zoom. So what I'm going to need to do is actually increase my mag here several clicks, which is going to reduce the effect of that. Okay, and you want to make sure like you don't have any of these interference fringes at the edge of the beam here. You want to make sure that you have nice even illumination. All right, so let's try this again. Measure the dose. Okay, so that's much better. We can probably we want to try and get it right in the middle here. So let's back the mag down maybe a couple clicks. And you want the beam, if you can make sure, if it's in the, you really want it in, if you find beam settings, you want it in this parallel regime as well. All right, so let's try it now. Screen out of the way, measure dose. Okay, perfect. Okay, so now you can go ahead and acquire the full set. Okay, I should have also mentioned, right, we have the mono on here. You want to make sure the mono is centered. So I did check it beforehand. But we'll go ahead and acquire a full set. On this system, this is the SATA with the speed enhancement. There's only 2, okay? If you don't have that, you might have like a really big list here. But we'll go ahead and just do acquire a full set. And this does not take very long. So I think actually it's doing 10 images to average for the references, not for the test exposure when we measure the dose. I know on our Talos, which does not have the speed enhancement, that is a different SATA camera. This has a list of, I want to say it's got like 30 or 40 different entries here for the gain references, for the reference images. So again, it depends on your particular camera. So the last time I took one was back in 2023. Okay, so these definitely need to be updated. Okay, and now they're updated. So we're going to close this. And now let's just go to Velox here. And we're going to take just a empty beam here, or just a image of vacuum, if you will. Let's call this vacuum. Okay. There's my screen out of the way. Okay, my acquisition, this is set for 1 second, 1 frame, reduced noise. You want to make sure this is, of course, on dark and gain for the correction. Good, good. So this is what we should be seeing. Nice even illumination. Good number of counts here. Again, this saturates around 8,000 counts. So that's 1 second at spot size 3. So actually at 60 kilovolts, normally I use spot size 4 with this aperture at 200. But at 60 kilovolts, it looks like spot size 3 is better to get us in that, optimal, or I shouldn't say optimal, but kind of more typical TEM beam current of around, 1 to 1.5 nanoamps is just, as an aside. All right, so I'll stop that, put the screen back in. All right, and there we go. So that's how to do a gain reference for your Ceta camera. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back to doing some videos on the different alignments. So please stay tuned for those.